One of the points of today's presentation is in fact to give a voice and in fact a face, which is one of the themes of OBIA for this month. I am the face of brain injury. So at 4 o'clock, we are honored to have 3 people who can speak to and represent that face. Jim Giroux, a survivor. Nancy Lamont, a family member / caregiver and incredible advocate. And Kindry Rowland, on behalf of the best associational partners an agency could possibly ask for, Headwaters ABI, HABI.
My name is Jim Giroux. I've had multiple brain injuries over the years, starting at age 2.5 and probably right up until the age of 50. So PHD ABIS has fit me in pretty well here with all my different injuries and such. Let's see. But this isn't about me. This is about PHD ABIS and their 5-year anniversary. So again, Al stole my thunder here. I was going to give a big shout out to Mike Marshall here, so we'll do it again. Okay, about myself and the projects and things that go on here. Mike asked me to speak about the things that were important to me and the way they affected me. And I guess from my perspective is the activities that they have here for the brain injury, they seem to fit everybody in and make a place for everybody. Vito was on radio there last week with his wife. It was really a great inspirational program. I advise anybody that has access to a computer to get the website link and listen to Vito and his wife, because it was very inspirational for everybody, for everybody that goes here and anybody that works and helps here. So.
Drew Marshall show. Drew Marshall.
Okay, it was the Drew Marshall show. I don't know how to access it or what station it's on, but there's a link there somewhere. Okay.
David was hit by a car 13 years ago. We were away from home for 8 months, praying to get home. But at that point, another journey starts. And it's not an easy journey. And 13 years ago in Orangeville, we had nobody for support. We did form HABI, the Headwaters Acquired Brain Injury Support Group, which I'm a founding member of. And it's wonderful to be able to talk and share stories. But FABIS has actually brought that service part of it to it. David resisted coming for a long time. Saveda can attest to that. But their patience, their understanding of ABI has brought David around. And in the last 2 years, there has been a major shift in David. He's accepting more. He understands that it wasn't just himself that was hurt, that it was the whole family, that it impacted everybody. And I can't say enough about FABIS. Living with ABI is not an easy thing, especially before they start to understand that there is differences in themselves, that they can accept the changes. David being 12 at the time of his accident, you know, he wasn't mature. So in a lot of ways, he's still 12. So it's been a struggle having your child grow up with the injury, losing all his friends. But FABIS has allowed David to understand, to meet other people with brain injury, and to be part of that little family that they have with men's group, with all the different activities that we do here. It's allowed David to accept and grow. I don't know if he would have prior to this. We had a wonderful rehab support worker, but the services provided here have made a huge difference.
Could I please get a show of hands for those who are clients who are served here today, please? I want you to know, please. It's an honor and a privilege to serve you. I want you to know that. Those who are family and caregivers here today, please. Family and caregivers. We've been using a figure of speech. Yes, thank you. Figure of speech for you in describing you to our LINs, funders, and other parties over the last year. We call it the Atlas model. For those who remember myth, Atlas was the figure who held the world on his shoulders. It is no secret right now in community health care that unless we support our caregivers and families with information, with respite, with self-support and mutual support, with possibilities for respite by way of day services. We have let Atlas down, and folks, I would like to remind you that Atlas is what is holding us up. So the family and caregivers, thank you.
In words that I'm told are repeatedly echoed by your clients' families and community partners, those who matter the most, you make them feel accepted, recognized, understood, and appreciated. Accepted, recognized, understood, and appreciated. 4 really good goals. I would suggest that those 4 words have never meant so much. At the Central West Lynn, there's a belief that the needs of the local communities are best understood by those who live in them. That's why I mentioned to put a little star over Adrian's head and myself. Within this community, a need was identified, in large part through the impassioned voices of families, local residents, and Headwaters ABI. Working in partnership with the 2 Lynns, Mississauga-Halton and our Lynn, we have been able to address this need. So it's been for the past 5 years that the Orangeville office of the Peel Halton Dufferin Acquired Brain Injury Services, you can't go over that one quickly, can you? Has been providing a spectrum of invaluable services to ABI survivors and their families.
We have to definitely try to understand where they are at and where they're coming from. And so we try to first build that relationship, that rapport, which is so crucial to being able to know what it is that they truly, want after they've acquired this brain injury, where it is that they are at, in their healing process, with their rehabilitation, and how it is that we can try to best support them holistically.
Depending on what type of injury there is, there's traumatic and non-traumatic. So a traumatic injury, brain injury, is when something external hits the head. So that can be something like a car accident, taking a baseball to the head, falling off a ladder. That's when your head actually is impacted by something. And then there's the non-traumatic injuries, which are more internal. So that can be getting sick, having encephalitis, having swelling in the brain, having an infection, having a stroke. So those would all be non-traumatic injuries. So depending on the type of injury, it impacts the brain differently. If you're having an external force hit your head, if it hits the front part of your head, then you're going to have a number of different issues, including impulsivity, issues with socialization, issues with moderating your behaviors. You lose kind of that filter between what you want to say and what you do say. If you get hit in the side of the head, you may lose some of your communication skills, including being able to understand people and being able to communicate to other people. If you have an injury to the back of the head, that's called the occipital lobe, and that impacts your vision. So even though your eyes still work and you're still able to see things, your brain can't interpret those images anymore. So that's where you may have black spots or tunnel vision. Some people after an injury aren't able to see at all. It takes some time to get that vision back. And then the 4th lobe is called the parietal lobe. So that's right up top there between the frontal and the temporal lobes. And if you have an injury there, then you may have some motor control issues. You may have some issues. We say the parietal lobe makes sense because that's where all your senses come from, being able to touch and feel. So being able to button up your jacket, being able to put on your shoes and tie your laces. So again, it all depends on the type of injury you have. You may have one small issue you have to deal with after your injury, or you could have an abundance of issues. Another one is kids with concussions these days. There's no way to anticipate what the outcomes might be if you have a concussion because it rattles almost the whole brain. If you take a really big hit, even though you only got hit in one part of the brain, the force of your brain turning and twisting and hitting the inside of your skull impacts all the areas of your brain. So you may have communication problems, you may have impulsivity, you may have vision problems. That's where you also get the headaches and the pain and the aches throughout your body. That's just your brain trying to coordinate all its efforts where your brain actually controls all the functions of your body.